Well, author and historian Jamar Tisby has written about the church's complicity in racism in his recent book, The Color of Compromise, and he joins us now to talk about these recent events. Jamar, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Over the weekend, we've seen these protests against racial violence in cities across the country, and there's many concerns about these demonstrations, and that includes looting, violence, hurting Black businesses and people, as well as health concerns in this COVID era. Do you think that these protests are a good way to push for change?
So I think we need to begin our analysis of the protests with going back to the reason for the protests in the first place, which was the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, caught on cell phone video. George Floyd is not the first or the second or the fifth or the 15th person. We can look at others like Amadou Diallo, we can look at Sean Bell, we can look at Rekia Boyd, we can look at Sandra Bland, and we can go on and on and on. And so the issue here is policing in general and the system of policing, and specifically the policing of Black bodies, which so often leads to arrest, brutalization, and murder. So we can't even discuss the protests unless we go back to the source and the cause, which is the loss of another Black life.
Jamar, I want to ask you, does it encourage you that people are coming together? I mean, is this a sign of hope at all that there is this growing awareness and that people are actually taking action?
Yes, I believe a lot of people are motivated to get up, get out, and do something. That's why we've seen these protests spread beyond just Minneapolis to really cities nationwide and even internationally. That says there's real concern here. And so I think in the past 5 years, since Ferguson and Black Lives Matter and other related events, there has been a broadening of attitudes around the issue of race and people wanting to see real change. The question is, will this moment of acute crisis, of protests, lead to any long-lasting and systemic change?
Do you think that they might? What do you think is the best way at this point in time to work for change, specifically when it comes to this area of police brutality?
I think we need to diagnose the problem accurately. And so historically, the way we've done policing is actually rooted a lot in the ways we've viewed race and white supremacy, all the way from the slave patrols in the antebellum era to after emancipation, the Black codes, which caught a lot of Black people up in the criminal justice system through policing and incarceration. So we have to look at the assumptions that go behind the police force, and we have to have a prophetic imagination to say, is there a better way to keep our citizens safe? And so we need to look at this as not just the issue of an isolated incident or one particular police officer or group of police officers, but really with the way America considers what is considered a crime and how best to respond to that.
We just have about 30 seconds left, but I do want to ask you, you've written about relationships, about Blacks investing in Black relationships right now, and about white people investing in Black people to show their solidarity. What does that look like?
So for Black people, we really have to take care of ourselves internally, even as we focus externally on actions. So that means seeing mental health therapists. That means hugging your spouse or your kids, or connecting with friends. I'm going to hop on a prayer call later on today with some friends. For white people, it's been very meaningful to me that they've reached out via text. I had just had someone offer to pay for a meal. They're all the way up in a different state, but want to tangibly provide some relief, knowing that folks like me speaking out about racial justice, there's a cost that goes to it. And that's not everything, these personal touches, but it's not nothing either, and it can be an encouragement.
Well, Jamar Tisby, we appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you so much.